Hey, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to do a review of the new Stove God Cooks album entitled Reasonable Drought. Let's get to it. Stove God Cooks, or the artist formerly known as Aaron Cooks, is a Syracuse, New York MC signed to Busta Rhymes' conglomerate label. He is also managed by veteran rapper Lord Jamar of Brand Nubian. Stove God Cooks also works closely alongside Rock Marciano, who produced the entirety of this LP. So he's got some pretty credible and experienced hip hop heavyweights grooming him from behind the scenes. Stove God is quite an interesting MC. He actually checks off most of the boxes for what makes a dope ass rapper. He's got the punchlines, bars for days, slick wordplay, attention to detail, a knack for crafting hooks, perceived street credibility, and the overall charisma that is needed to entertain and rock the mic. It is pretty evident that Cooks was heavily influenced by New York legends such as Raekwon the Chef, Ghostface Killah, and of course Jay-Z. The album title itself, Reasonable Drought, is an obvious nod to Jay-Z's classic debut, Reasonable Doubt. I think one could also presume an album like Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links was likely a big inspiration for Cooks as well. And while there are many allusions to drug dealing and violence in Cooks's rhymes, he doesn't ever appear to take things all too seriously. Throughout this album, there's an element of humor present, whether we are talking about his slightly animated delivery itself or his over-the-top and wild references to high fashion, sports, hustling, or even when he blasphemously exalts himself as some coke-dealing deity. Sure, a lot of these concepts and ideas have been tackled before by other artists, and while Cooks has his own true style and originality, I think one could compare him to the likes of Westside Gunn or maybe Houston's Sauce Waka. I'm just getting those outlandish kind of vibes at times when listening to this album, but I can say with complete confidence that Cooks is technically a better skilled rapper than the two aforementioned artists. So let's talk a little bit about Rock Marciano's role in producing this entire album. This is not a new endeavor for Rock, as he's been making his own beats since the beginning, but he's definitely established himself as a formidable producer over time. I also really enjoy the production he did on his most recent Marcialago album. Thankfully, on Reasonable Drought, Rock was able to give us a lot more of that same type of gritty boom bap and soul-based production. So to sum it up, there is a lot of crate digging involved here, a lot of mid-90s inspired rugged East Coast instrumentals. Now, despite the production being very New York centered, there seems to be quite an element of accessibility with Cooks's flow and delivery. While you could say he is intrinsically more Griselda than he is 2 Chainz, his style still comes off as palatable for a wider variety of audiences than just New York alone. I think he also has the potential to appeal to the Southern trap listener while still maintaining his hardcore New York demeanor. It's a delicate balance, but he is kind of able to blend in and pull it off effectively, I think, without sounding corny. And this is what makes him so promising as a new artist. He has this dynamic range. But with all that said, let's get into a track by track breakdown. Fresh out the gate on Rolls-Royce brake lights, Cooks opens with an almost Drake-like refrain, except it's way more gangster than anything Drake could pull off, but this ultimately segues into a knocking sample loop that mirrors the production found on Marcialago. Cooks definitely has a captivating presence on this opener. His hustling metaphors are witty indeed, such as light-skinned base runner, I'm Derek Jeter, and also The Wire hitting that bank account, feeling like Marlo again. Next up is Bread of Life, which might contain my favorite instrumental on the project. It seems like Rock Marcy was really channeling RZA with his dark and murky production. It definitely sounds like it was recorded in a dirty dungeon somewhere. Cooks triumphantly shouts, "Sold a brick out the church parking lot, hallelujah." Look, I know it's blasphemous, but there's something so damn catchy yet sinister about this refrain. At one point in the track, he also states that he just wants conscious guys to fuck with his whip talk. On Crosses, we get some haunting string production. Cooks' energy is infectious. There's a reference to keeping it trill, which again shows his diverse regional appeal. One of the lines that also stood out to me was fentanyl flow. You bit off more than you could chew. My daughter wears chinchillas to the petting zoo. It's this kind of flamboyant and outlandish imagery that makes for an entertaining listen. The 70s heist music vibes are pretty strong on Break the Pyrex. I'm really digging this dusty, soul-based production. Cooks uses some pretty zany inflections on his hook too, where he talks about Ghostface killers in the Rafe and heating up the Pyrex until it breaks. If only we could get Ghost and Ray on a remix, now that would be a real treat. A track like Jim Boeheim features some more slick wordplay and braggadocio. He states, "This jacket came from Dapper's basement. I'm murder mixed with pastor mixed with Pappy Mason." Obviously, he's referencing Harlem's Dapper Dan, Mace, and drug kingpin Pappy Mason all in one. I like this instrumental. It's psychedelic in nature. It almost sounds like some old Flipmode Squad production. Stove God makes the most out of the minimal sample loop on the track Money Puddles. There's almost something about this track that makes me imagine 2 Chainz hopping on here and murdering this. I would actually like to see the two of them collaborate at some point. But yeah, Cooks kills this one as he speaks on dirty Porsches, lemon swordfish, and a $500,000 mortgage. Tracks like Burt and State and Gloria Blemente are both solid in terms of their lo-fi and crate digging appeal, but I wouldn't consider them to be highlights. On Lava Lamp, we get a trap-inspired chorus over a really gritty soul sample. This beat makes me envision the sounds and sights of the old New York, let's say back in the 70s and 80s when all the subway cars were covered with graffiti and all the police precincts were corrupt. Cooks also warns the competition that you ain't cut from the same thread that they sewed me up with. On John Starks, we get some more slick talk on top of some chill saxophone and piano production. Cooks disrespectfully adds, "Since you want to be Pac, get shot and die with that ring in your nose." He also adds, "I can make that white jump like Chris Mullen." This is just one of the many sports similes throughout. A track like Cocaine Cologne has some gorgeous classical production. It's very regal sounding. Cooks enthusiastically shouts, "Still smelling like a brick right now." It's just pure ignorance over an elegant instrumental. I like the sample on Balenciaga's Stamp, which is the closing track. It has a rare and unique crate digging appeal. Overall, I give this album a rating of 4.3 out of 5. So let's talk a little bit about the strengths. Well, for starters, he's got a hell of a knack for making catchy hooks. I can't think of any other New York artist at the moment who is able to come up with these kinds of appealing refrains. The bars, of course, are plentiful on every track. You would have to pretty much not even listen to anything he's saying to fail to find something rewind worthy on each track. The fact that he infuses humor throughout is also a plus. Oh, and how can I forget? Stove God actually puts a lot of rappers to shame by delivering this whole project without the assistance of any features. I think that's pretty damn impressive for a debut, or really for any album by today's standards. I mean, who does he think he is? A drug-dealing J. Cole? And of course, Rock Marciano did his thing on the production tip. Now, for some younger audiences who may enjoy more modern trap styled beats, some of the production on here might not be your cup of tea. But regardless, I think most would agree that Rock did a remarkable job in chefing up some grimy ear candy. As far as the drawbacks go, there aren't many, but I do feel that he does jump around and go off topic a little bit. At times, he seems more comfortable trying to impress us with his slick talk than he is with giving us some comprehensive storytelling or sticking to a theme. So, on future releases, I would welcome if he were to focus on maybe making some conceptual records. I think that would add some variety to his skill set, which is already pretty strong, but that's just my personal opinion. In addition, while I said that his humor was an asset, there were moments on here that I wish he would have gotten a little more serious or had gone in depth a little more. Now, this isn't a big deal, but I tend to like my shit a little more serious. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that prefers dark dramas and thrillers over comedies, but I digress. So yeah, this project was pretty damn impressive overall. My favorite tracks include Bread of Life, Crosses, Break the Pyrex, Jim Boeheim, Money Puddles, Lava Lamp, and Cocaine Cologne. Let me know what you thought of this album in the comment section below. Was this project dope? Was it a nope? What would you like me to check out next? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit the like button and please subscribe. It's always peace and blessings. Stove God cooks. Reasonable Drought. 1.